I don't live here. I'm renting this place.
We need to go. We need to go now.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the Rantin Review Entertainment. We're talking today about the recent Hollywood horror film known as The Barbarian. And we're going to analyze some stuff in here, both the positives and the negatives of this film. I have to warn you guys who are beginning to watch this, if you haven't seen the film yet, you should be aware of spoilers, but there are definitely things we want to talk about that would probably ruin the experience for you if you haven't seen the movie already, so check back later. So Barbarian is a horror film starring Georgina Campbell, Justin Long, and Bill Skarsgård. It revolves around a young lady who rents out an Airbnb. She's having some problems with her ex-boyfriend who keeps calling her, which we think is going to come back later in the movie, but really doesn't. I'll talk about that later on. But she finds out that the Airbnb is already being occupied by somebody else. They have identical confirmations from different apps that says they both have rented out the house for this time period. And this house is in probably not the best of neighborhoods. Of course, we are in Detroit, Michigan, so that's to be expected, unfortunately. Tess, the main character, she doesn't quite trust this guy, and there's something weird about the house, and that's pretty much all we knew from the trailers, and that there's a monster in this movie of some sort. And let's get to the positives of the film and my overall thoughts on it. I thought this was a great horror film. I think the horror aspects of it in particular were a lot of fun. There was a lot of intense moments, especially in the basement. Not to get too far into spoilers just yet, but some of the creature design was pretty good on the monster or barbarian in the film, which really isn't a barbarian, but we'll talk about that later. And I'm saying a lot of that in this review. And I think the performances, especially the three main characters, Justin Long playing AJ, who is this real douchebag. I mean, he plays it to a T and just conveys every kind of delusional thing that a douchebag like that would convey. Bill Skarsgård as Keith, who's the nice guy, who's trying to be a nice guy, but is he too much trying to be a nice guy? Can we trust him? He played that pretty well. And of course, Georgina Campbell playing Tess, who carried the movie. She was absolutely amazing in this film. I would love to see more stuff from her in the future. There are some things in this movie that are outright disgusting, but if you really look at the movie, and when I go back and think about it, it wasn't like gross you out kind of like visceral on the screen, let me show you something completely disgusting. A lot of stuff was kind of hinted at, over the shoulder, behind the head, implied things from noises and sound effects and quick visuals. So you didn't see a lot. There's a couple, that doesn't mean there aren't any gruesome scenes in here. There's some pretty gruesome, usually involving the cranium scenes and kills in this film. But I would say overall, as a horror film, it is absolutely wonderful. It is something that hasn't been done in a long time. The way the story kind of has 3 acts and they change decidedly from Act 1 to Act 2 to Act 3. In fact, the change from Act 1 to Act 2 is almost jarring, that you feel like you're in a completely different movie and you're kind of waiting to see how this all ties into what you saw in Act 1. So I thought this was really well executed, really well written, and a definite recommendation if you're a horror movie fan. But now let's talk about the bad. And you know what I'm going to say, anybody who's watched my reviews of anything, I really do not like social political stuff in my movies. Now, there's always social commentary, and people's politics and their belief systems always bleed into art. That's, what happens. But there's it's not even a fine line, I would say. There is a line between, having some messages in your story, but that's not the focus of your story, and making the focus of your story the message. Because one is entertainment and the other one is propaganda. And we are in an era right now with a lot of stuff I've been watching, and we'll be doing reviews of them pretty soon on this channel. There's just a lot of politics and social commentary and quite frankly, preaching going on in some of these films. That being said, Barbarian, even though it does have a very strong social message in it, so I'm warning you about that. If you don't, or you're a person that doesn't like kind of preachy kind of stuff, you might have some issues with this film. But again, I'm not going to say that it was a complete negative on this film, because it's there and you're like, okay, cool, whatever. If you agree with it, cool. If you don't, whatever. But it doesn't overwhelm the movie, even though it is kind of the theme of the movie as to who the barbarian actually is, which turns out to be this creepy dude from back in the 80s who used to live in his house and was kidnapping women, raping them in his basement, keeping them hostage, and then having them have babies, and then having babies with those babies who are having babies with those babies. And the creature that we see in the basement actually is the offspring of an offspring of us. It's really gross. But the message here is that, and you see it in Act 1 and Act 2, how women approach a situation differently. Even how Tess, when she goes into the downstairs basement dungeon, really, she encounters it, and the whole film is filled with dread and terror and fear. Whereas when Justin Long's character AJ goes down there, he's kind of this oblivious douchebag who's not concerned about the bloody cages or the fact that there is a hidden tunnel underneath this house that he actually owns and was renting out as an Airbnb. He's strapped for money, so all he cares about is measuring for square footage for when he lists the house for sale. And again, the story of that is that women have to be fearful, and this is a very true thing. Women have to be fearful in situations that men don't have to be fearful, which is an unfortunate reality of society and biology, because women are the fair sex. I'm not going to get into gender stuff, but look, we all know, on the average, men have somewhat of a power advantage over women, which is why women have to be more fearful when they're encountering strange men than strange men have to be fearful when encountering strange women, or just people in general. And I was like, that's a pretty cool message. And then you see how AJ's character, let's get to that part. We meet him, and it's kind of done for comedy at the beginning, or it feels like it's like a lighthearted part of the story, and he's going to be kind of like the comedy relief character, but we pretty soon find out he's been accused of rape. And he said he didn't rape this woman, but then we get a scene where he's talking to his friend where he admits to date rape, essentially, that, oh, she said no, but, I'm a player, she kind of warmed up to it. Buddy, that's called rape. As a side note, this is to any man out there who may be watching this that doesn't understand that. The second a woman says no, stop, or anything that sounds like that, what you're supposed to do is you take your hands off her, you get up out the bed, out the backseat of the car, off the couch, or the Target changing station, whatever you're doing, wherever you're doing it. You just go, no, because I don't even care if the woman is into that kind of stuff, and trust me, there are some women who like that kind of stuff. I don't care if this is a game or fantasy, whatever it is. The second you say no, stop, or whatever, I am out of here. We're gonna go watch TV. So overall, when I left the movie, I was like, all right, that was pretty cool to see. I get what they were trying to show, that women have to be more fearful in our world than men do, which is, then again, we all kind of knew that, even old school kind of traditional values. That's why they've talked about men being protectors, even though that's a kind of a outdated paradigm. There is still that physical, biological thing that women are not as physically powerful as men on average, and have to be more fearful because men are also more aggressive on average. And it is a dangerous place for a woman, especially on her own, to be around a bunch of strange guys. However, then I thought about it a little bit more, and I was like, well, wait a minute. Are they trying to say this is the other side, though, is what men do? Because I don't know about you, who saw the film, but to be quite honest with you, everything that Tess did is what I would have done. I would not have wanted to go into some home or Airbnb of some stranger I didn't know and stay there with them. I wouldn't want to stay in that neighborhood. I wouldn't trust a crazy guy coming up to me. I probably have problems explaining this to the police if I'm all covered in dirt and crap and came out of a crackhead neighborhood and then start yelling and screaming at them. I probably would get the same response too, although I think the police response was a little bit too cliche too. If I'm Bill Skarsgård's character, even if a woman, I'm sorry, again, maybe this is just me, but if a woman shows up and I'm in an Airbnb and somebody shows up and she goes, hey, I was here, we're booked at the same place at the same time, I'll be like, yeah, but I'm already here. So, I'll call you, call and get you a hotel or something, and we can work this out, and I'll be a witness for you to get your money back. But it's either that or which one of us is going to stay, or I could go get a hotel, you can stay here or whatever, and do something like that. I'm not inviting her to stay. And if I don't know, you don't know who this person is, this woman could be crazy. I'm certainly not going to doubt somebody, a woman or man, when they have to claw their way out of the basement and yell at me to don't go in the basement. There's some crazy crap down there, and go, oh, I've got to go see myself. And as far as AJ and the guy from the 80s, I think his name was Frank in the movie, who started the whole thing with raping all those women. The measuring the square footage of a dungeon full of cages soaked in blood stains, dried blood. I don't know what kind of men these people hang around. None of that screams, that's what men do, and this is what women do. It screams to me, these guys are idiots and assholes, and I don't side with idiots and assholes. I side with Tess because she wasn't an idiot or an asshole. Well, she did have her idiotic moment where she was, nope, I'm not going into the dark tunnel, and then went in a dark tunnel anyway. But that aside, again, I related more with Tess in this movie, and it wasn't about sex. It was about the fact that what she did is the way I would react to the situation, and what these other guys did and what these other men did in this movie is not anything I consider manly, masculine, male, or anything. I just consider it that they were assholes. But again, overall, this is a nitpick. It's not a major nitpick. Again, it doesn't, like I said in the main review, it doesn't take away from the movie. The movie's a great horror film. It is scary. That's the main point of watching horror films, is to be scared. Every movie's got some sort of political messaging in it. And I think this movie, even though the juxtaposition between men and females doesn't quite hold up as far as being truthful. The point of it really is to convey to you that women feel more in danger in situations than men do. And for that, I agree with and think that's why I say it's not really that big a deal. But I want to know what you guys think about this. Did you see the movie Barbarian? What do you think about the message in the film? What do you think about the performances in the film? And there are a lot of unanswered questions. What happened to the boyfriend that wasn't there? Why were they double booked at the same time when Justin Long's character, AJ, we hear him later on, who owns the house, talked to the management company, and they said they haven't rented it out for 30 months. So how did the two tenants get booked at the same time? Who was doing that? So a possible sequel or expanded universe, God knows what the people do these days. It probably will be one of the two. But I want to know what you guys, again, think about this movie. Thank you guys for checking out this video. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe button, and the notification bell. And be sure to share this video on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, or wherever you talk about movies and horror. I'll see you guys next time. We will be starting up our Walking Dead finale reaction and review videos pretty soon here on the channel, so look out for those. Hit the notification bell so you're notified when those go up, and I'll see you guys again later. Have a good day.